Hi, this is Giles Johnston from Fraction ERP, and welcome to this online demo. We decided to provide some online videos to give you a little bit more information than the features page, but less information than the support page, which you're welcome to look at any point in time. In these videos, we want to give you an idea of how Fraction ERP looks and feels, so that if you think it might be a good fit for your business, you can get in touch for a proper, tailored online demo, and then a 2-week trial. The free 2-week trial is brilliant, of course, because it allows your team to have a proper look at Fraction ERP, play with the functions, and put through some test orders to properly evaluate whether you think Fraction ERP will be a good fit for your business or not. Okay, so the first thing I want to do in this demo is to show you how quick and simple it is to set up your Fraction ERP account. The account you can see on the screen here is our demo account. So this has got all kinds of interesting and odd data in there we've gained from showing this to other people over the last couple of years. But if I go up to the top right hand corner and click on this cog icon here, I can see a whole lot of options to choose from. So the first one I want to show you is the company profile. This is where you'd go in and you'd put in your company address and contact details. Another quick thing to sort out is the users. So if I click on this, you can see that we have a way of creating different user accounts inside the system here. And if I click on edit here, you can see in here we've got the option to create certain roles and assign those to the individual users. So if you want to limit what people can do in terms of creating a BOM or approving purchase orders, you can do that all in here. And you can also limit the access to all the modules within inside the system. At the top, you can see how many licenses you've got remaining. And you can also add shop floor data capture users. These are free with a paid subscription. And this is for users who will be using the shop floor data tracking tools and not any other parts of the system. Also within the options, we have work centers. So this is how you can set up the different workstations within your manufacturing facility, including the available hours for operation. We also have standard operations, so you can create a series of standard route elements. So when you're creating your manufacturing routes, you can drop them in very quickly and then tailor them to suit the needs of your particular manufactured product. And we've also other things in here, such as options, which I'll show you quickly. And the options are all the different items in the drop-down fields within the system. So, for example, here we've got currencies, and we've also got the starting numbers for our different parts of the system in terms of purchase orders, invoice numbers, etc. And you can also see there's other things here, such as standard text on the bottom of delivery notes. And also you can see, for example, here tasks, and there's various categories. And to actually edit these different items, click on the edit button, and you can either click on edit to edit an existing entry, or literally type in the bottom here and press the add button, and you'd get a new option for your system. The other thing I should show you as well here is in contacts, we have customers and suppliers. So this is a list of fictitious customers. And in here, I can either create a new customer or can use an import function. And the import function, we can provide a spreadsheet to help you input that data and then quickly import all your customers into the system. And the same goes for suppliers. So hopefully that gives you a good idea of how we set up Fraction to get it working in the first instance. There is actually one other thing I should show you during this demo. It's actually on the home screen here on the dashboard. And we have the option to integrate Fraction ERP into a finance package. So I'm going to click on 0 here. And what it will make you do is click on to your 0 account. And then when it loads up, it'll ask you to choose which organization you want to connect to. And once you press allow access, this will connect Fraction ERP to your chosen finance package. Okay, so the next thing we'd recommend our new users to do in the system is to actually start building some parts. As you can see on the screen here, we've got a library of all different parts in the system, and we have the option to filter this information based on these drop-down options. Now, these options will be created in the setup right at the start. You can always add to that in the future, but quickly search on here and find a P200. Looks good. And I'm going to literally view the part at the side here. What you can actually do on the screen here is you can see if there's a standard supplier put against the item. See the type of it, this actually is a manufactured part, so we would be the supplier. And for some reason I have minus 77 stock, and also there's a minimum stock quantity here. So there's a trigger requirement, which is quite interesting. So if I clicked on stock alert, my item appears in there. Actually, if I remove this search item from the top here, I'd get every item that's got a stock alert in the system. This is where the available stock is below the minimum stock quantity, as you can see on the screen here. So if I go back to my P200 and I click on the view option here, I'm presented with the standard part screen. So I've got my part number, I've got a revision, I've got my type, they're my drop downs, you recognize those from the filters. And I can also put in any other kind of information here about how many weeks of lead time it's going to be and a sales price. The grayed out boxes here are calculated fields. And I'm able to put other information in here. So if I've got a default stock location, I can enter it there. And there's a whole load of other tabs at the top here. So in activity, I can see all the contracts this item's been against. I keep scrolling, see the works orders against it. And basically I can see a history of transactions against that item. I can add files if I wish to add for the use of people within the business. So I can see some machining fabrication drawings. We don't have a supplier because it's a manufactured part, and allocations show you where the finished goods have been allocated against which order. BOMs will appear here if you've got any created. And finally, there's an options tab here. So this will allow you to make some decisions about the part. So in this one here, this requires an inwards inspection. So when it gets finalized, it'll stop and make a prompt to be inspected before it gets put into finished goods. A traceable part item ticked here, which means we'll be allocating batch or serial numbers against these items in production. And you see some other things on here. So fixed quantity demand, so it doesn't matter how many is on the works order, they produce a certain amount. And whether it's a packaging item or to be included in on-time delivery, etc. And so what you've got here is a list of all your parts that are created, and we'll be using these later in the system either for a buy and sell operation or to create a bill of materials to provide the instructions to the system in terms of what's to be made and what's to be bought when we're trying to fulfill our customer orders. Okay, so next up in our demo is looking at the bill of materials. We now have some parts in our Fraction ERP account. So if I go to bill of materials here into BOM, I'm presented with a list of all the bill of materials that have been completed so far in our system. If I go to the P200 search here and I go back to where we were before, this already has a BOM created. So I'll go into this one here by clicking details. And what I'm presented with here is a header, which gives me information about the status of the BOM itself. So we have an approval process at the top here. Below that, I have the parts, the components that make it up. So in this case, casing, some screws, an impeller, some more screws and washers. And to add new parts to the system, we simply click on this add part button here and then start searching for the item we want to add to the bill of materials, and also the quantities and everything else that goes with it. So we can also add a new part on the fly here. We don't have to go through the parts system to create them step by step. We can actually add them as we build the BOM for speed. Below that are the operations. So I can click on here and either find an operation amongst all these by searching for it or scrolling down. But let's take this one here. It says drill, and I'm going to add this. It's already added it to at the end of the route here. So if I wanted this to be somewhere further up, let's say it was going to be before final assembly there, so I can make it a number 9. I can edit this, change the sequence, and then this is where I can actually change the setup. So this might be a 2-hour setup, and the cycle time might be 25 minutes a piece. And in here I can put more detail. So I'm going to put PCD, and I also have the opportunity of adding an operator should I need one, which will allow me to specify which operative needs to complete the task, should that be a requirement for the business. So there it is now, number 9 drill. And what happens at the bottom of the screen is the job costing. So it'll work out based on the cost rates you've put against the work center and the purchase prices of all the components, what the total costs are for this particular product. It'll also take your default gross margin, but we can override this, and we can ultimately change the selling price based on whatever we want to do in the business. And this will then go through, when I press this button here, through to the sales order process, which I'll take you through in a few moments. At the bottom of the screen, we have a price break calculator, so you can see based on different quantities what the actual total cost would be and what therefore the selling price might be based on the same maths. And at the top, now that I've made a change, it's gone back to a drafted status. So if I can press check, I can then move it to the next status, then I can approve it. Now I can only do this because I've got the settings in my profile to allow me to do this. Other people might only be able to make changes and then require a more senior person in the organization to make those changes, but we'll leave that down to you guys. And then one other thing in here is we have a costings snapshot. So if I go on here, I can actually save the current costing, and this will then give me snapshots to show what's actually happened in terms of changes to the product over the years. So by doing this, you're able to capture the information about any changes engineering-wise you've made to a product for later reference. But we can also save this as a template. So if you've got a family of parts in the business and you want to create more in the future, but you don't do it all from scratch, then you can create a template and apply that template to the new items when you're creating a new BOM. So if I go back to a BOM list here and click on new BOM, I can then start searching for one of my parts that I've got in the system. And then this will give me an option to choose a template from this drop-down menu here. So let's look at the previous templates I've created, and then I can apply that if I want to across into the new BOM. So now in the system, we've got some parts, a bill of material, a leased, and a configured Fraction ERP system. So where we're going to go to next is up to the contracts option on the menu here and go to inquiries. Now in here, we actually call everything a contract, and they're just at different stages during the life of a contract. So I'll click on new contract here, and this allows me to start to create a new quote. And I'll submit an inquiry. This becomes the header of the quote, which effectively becomes a sales order later on. So I'm going to just have a look down this list here. Everything's okay there. So I'm going to go through, and then I'm presented with a quote number at the top, which is automatically generated. To add a new item, click on this button here, and then we can start to put a product in. I'm going to choose the P200, which we had earlier on, and we want a customer due date. So I'm going to pick. Let's have a little bit of time to do that. I'm going to do an order of 10 of these things and press save. Now, apart from the interesting amount of quantity in stock, this is a basic quote. Now, there's no footer information on here, which I can edit and actually change it for my footer. This comes through from the options that we configured right at the very start. But if that was it, if that was the whole quotation, all I'll do is go to the quotations tab and create a snapshot. The way we set the system up is that you create a series of snapshots. So if I send this off to the customer and they say, well, actually, you know what, can I have 12 instead? And can you see if you can do something on the price? If I change all that, go back to quotations and create another snapshot, you can see here I've got another revision. But if I click on this one here, I can see the previous version as well. So I don't lose anything. And it means I don't have to keep on chopping and changing between different versions of a quote or additional quotes in the system, or putting lots of lines on a quote to try and accommodate all this. I can just use one of my snapshots here. So if I'm ready to send this off to the customer, see if I can get their approval, I can either print it and that'll generate a PDF that I can actually then print out, or click on the email button here and this will go straight to the company. Now, there's no email up here. It's not being set up for this demo account, but as you can see at the bottom here, any files that are attached to the bill of materials will be included, and this will be able to send off directly from Fraction ERP straight to your customer. Once you've won the order, then you can also send an acknowledgement email, which works in the same way. And we also have the option here just to simply change the inquiry status through to sales order and that takes us through to a completed inquiry into a sales order, ready to go to the next stage in the manufacturing process. We also have the option to add files into the quotes, which you can do here. And if there's any sort of general notes you want to leave for your team about the quotation, they can be added on the fly as you build up the quote. And later on, you can actually look at the invoices when it's linked to the sales order. So if I go back to contracts now, I can also see this is a list of all the contracts in the system we have at the moment. And at the far end here, we have a production status. So the last one we've just done here is sitting at the waiting stage, waiting for it to be scheduled and a works order to be created. And these filters at the top here just allow you to go through very quickly through all the different contracts and their statuses in the organization. So, including all the ones that have been lost. We also have a function at the top here to show line items. So if you need to see a bit more detail on the screen here, press this button here, and it actually shows a slightly different view where you can see the different items that have been added and their quantities line by line to the contracts as they've been created. Okay, so now we have a completed quote turned into a sales order. We can look now to raise the works order and start the manufacturing process. So I'm going to stick with the sales order we just created. I'm going to click on details, and I can see down here now there is a create works order button. So clicking this brings up a little window, and I can just check over any details that I want to confirm or change. So for example, if I want to make more or fewer, then I can do that there. Or if I want to change the start date, which is based on the basic information about this manufacturer part in our system. So I'm going to press the confirm button here, and this takes me through to the works order screen, which, as you'll note up here, takes the sales order number and then adds the line number at the bottom of it here. So pretty straightforward. On this particular item here, we've got some traceability. So I can click on edit there, and I can apply a batch number across all of these items here. I'm going to use today's date and press add, and they'll appear in like that. If I want to type in something separate, something more specific for each item, I can do that and then press save. And that completes the traceability. The traceability will come in later on when we come to ship, and we need to bring those items through. On the parts, you'll find all the same items as in the bill of materials, and same with the operations, including this additional drilling item we put in before. There's no notes, and all the details are there that we saw earlier on. The system automatically schedules a works order when it gets created. The traceability tab just shows you the serial numbers we've put in before. The files are the same as ones we brought through earlier on. And there's no tooling information against this item here. The costs, nothing's been logged against it at the moment through shop floor data collection, so there's nothing to show. And the labels tab just allows you to print some labels out should you want those to go around with the items on the shop floor. Click on the route card, and that will bring up a PDF copy of the route card, should you use those in your factory. And if there's any non-conformances during the manufacturing process, you can raise them here by clicking on this button. And the complete button here is to complete the works order, which is important once we finish manufacturing, just to make it available for the shipping process. And delete stands for itself. So if you need to delete this works order and start again, then you have the option to do so. Again, if you have the permissions to do so. If we go back to the works order list, you'll see all the works orders all stacked up, and we have various lights here to show you whether it's been planned or the part's been allocated. And if you want to look back at the works order detail, click on the view button, and the schedule button will take you through to the scheduler, which I'll show in an imminent video. As usual, at the top we have various filters, so we can go back through and see different works orders based on their status. And the last thing I want to show you on here is this stock works order button here. So if you need to create some production orders without having a sales order demand, you can click on this, find your part, still save my P200 search here, and create a works order. So in there, I can pick a due date and choose a quantity and generate the works order. Again, you can then schedule this and manage your demand. Okay, so now I've got some works orders in Fraction. I can take us through to the scheduling page here and see what happens there. So the scheduling screen, this comes to life when you place the works order into the system. Our system automatically schedules the operations. And this screen allows you to manipulate those so you can change what's happening when. Screen's very simple. In this view, which is the works order view, you can see the various works orders down the left-hand side here. And across the top, you can see the various dates and the times. These are various time buckets. You can change the resolution of the screen using these options here, and you can change the amount of information we load at any one time using this option here. So I'm going to show you the other version, which is the work centers view. Again, you can see down the side here a list of items. At this time, it's the work centers, not the works orders. And then across here, you can see the various operations for each of those work centers. So this effectively reproduces your work to list. The grayed out areas are the areas of the times of the day when the work center is unavailable. The white areas being the times when it is available. So what I'm going to do here, I'm just going to change the amount of time on the screen here, and it's defaulted to 1 day. This gives me quite a good view of all the different operations going through the different work centers. And if I click on one of these here, I can see the connections here between the different operations. So this one here shows me this operation actually is going to be before the previous operation. So I can quickly just drag that to where I need it to be, and that will then reschedule the operation, something more logical looking like that. And then just by clicking the update plan button here, that'll then commit it into the system, and that'll take the data through to the work to list, meaning the guys on the shop floor now have a revised sequence to work to. And I can also zoom in further here. So let's say this one here on February the 6th. If I just zoom in and just drag this across to February 6th. And then what I'm going to do here, just for example, I'm just going to move this to a different time slot in the day, just to fine tune the time. And then going further, I can actually go in down to 5-minute slots. Here is again 55 minutes, and I can actually just drag this into a very specific 5-minute slot. So if I choose to, I can get really into the nitty-gritty of when the schedule starts and stops. But the basic idea is that you'd let Fraction ERP schedule your operations in a logical sense, and then come into the screen and just do some fine-tune, moving backwards and forwards of the operation time, just to commit this into the plan and then update your work to list. So now I have the works orders inside the system, all scheduled. I can now go to my MRP screen and see what I need to do in terms of purchasing. On the MRP screen, we have all the demand for all the items within Fraction ERP. You can see the works order number over here, the part number description, the demand, the quantity that each line will need. If there's a predefined supplier against them, that'll come up here. And if it's already been raised as a purchase order, you can see the information here and click through to see the detail. What I'm going to do is I'm going to select purchased items that have no status. So these are all things that need to be purchased in order to fulfill manufacturing orders. And you can either toggle the part number to put them into sequence to make it easier to see, or you can choose a date. You can choose a date range or search for particular items if you've got some very specific purchasing requirements. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to quickly look down the screen here, and I can see there's 3 items here, these mounting hubs. And to place the orders, what I'll do is I'll click on these boxes here, these check boxes, and at the top there's a raise PO button and a group PO. Now the group PO button will actually take anything that's got the same part number and put it together as one purchase order line on the purchase order. And if I press just the normal raise PO, it will give me one purchase order line per line on the MRP screen. So I can click on group PO. This comes up in here. So what it's going to do, you can see there, it's batched those 2 together and left that one as a separate item. And I'll just quickly pick an organization, click on raise group PO, and there we are. There's my 2 lines there. So I can see there's a 2 off there, which put them both together, and the 1 off. We operate on a permission control system here as well. So if you've been designated and been able to approve purchase orders, you'll be able to click on this button here and approve it, which means then you can either print this out as a PDF, which you can then email to your supplier, or if you have the email details already built into Fraction ERP, you can press this button here. It'll generate an email to your supplier You can see the attachment at the bottom here, and that can go directly from Fraction ERP. Okay, so we've raised a couple of purchase orders through the MRP function. We can also raise purchase orders directly in the system by clicking on this purchase order button here. A bit like the quotation, you create a header, click on save here, and then you can add new items into the system. So you can start searching for these items. I'll take this one here, put a quantity in, pick a due date, and click on save. And that's it, that's raised in the system. We get to approve it as we did before, and then email it off to the supplier as you would do normally. Now I'm going to go back to the purchase list here, and what you can see up the side here, there's also a receive button. This is the same as going through receive goods from the main menu here, but I'm going to click on this one here and have a look at what we've got here. So this is the one I've just raised. I'm going to receive half of them and press submit, and that's then pushed it into stock within the system. Now, some of these items in the system can be marked for goods inwards inspection. So if I click on this one here, yep, this item has it. So if I go back here and receive some more of this, I'll go back to purchases on here and find the order, click on receive button here, and I've got 5 remaining to receive. So I'll add those into the system. And then when I look in the goods received notes here for 280, click on the view, I can see that it needs inspection. So I can click on that. And this time I'm going to accept them all. Oops. Press on save. And then I've got the option to print labels, should I need those as well. So if I've got some sort of labels to track the material around the factory. And on the GRN list, when you're accepting them and they need inspection, you can actually see them here by pressing that button there just to filter the data down again. And once we're happy with the information and we've checked the products, accepted them into the system, we can then push it across to our chosen financial package by pressing this button. And there it is, sent into 0. Okay, so now we have the works orders in the system all scheduled. We have the materials now in the business. We now look at the production tracking through the factory floor. And where I'm starting here is in the production menu, we have the tracking option here. And this shows me all the progress bars. Now this is our demo data, so it's full of all kinds of weird and wonderful example orders. But as you can see here, we have a progress bar, and this shows a percentage of the operations that have been fully completed. Now, if this was your live production data, I'd expect to see bars almost completed near the top, and they'll be gently tapering off down towards the bottom with less and less progress against them. To look at the work to list, we go to SFDC and operations, and this is a list of all the operations inside Fraction ERP. Using the filter buttons here, we can quickly drop down and choose a very specific work center, which will give us the work to list for that work center in question. So this is the milling machine. And by using these buttons here, we can toggle through week by week to see what's actually in the queue for that machine. This gives the information about what works order it is, what the runtime is, and allows us to look at shop floor data collection as an option. And this allows us to track the production through the shop floor. So I'm going to click on Start My Log. I do have the option to choose another user in the system here, but as shop floor data collection licenses are free when you get a paid subscription, it's very easy to log in as yourself and just start your own log. So that's now showing us in progress. And if I go back to the SFDC menu, I can see that operation has just started here at the bottom. There's a couple of other operations shown here. And if I click on operators, I can see that it's me because I'm the one logged into the demo system. But you can see the other people in the business who are linked to shop floor users are currently inactive. So this gives you a snapshot at that moment in time of who's actually logged onto a job and doing something productive. And you can do the same thing by work centers as well. So you get a very quick way to manage your shop floor. To stop a SFDC log, just click on the button here and you can press stop the log. You can also press stop log and complete operation, which will mean that that operation will be closed off and the progress bar on the tracking screen will actually start to increase. I'll stop this log as such. Okay, and that's that done. Under the production menu, we've also got work center capacities. This allows you to see each of your work centers on a week by week basis or daily capacity view and see how loaded that particular work center is. And then if you need to, you can click into the cell on the screen here and start to reschedule your works orders. We also have a feature where the operator capacities can be reviewed, and this allows you to look at individuals here. So if you've got particular talents on your operations team, you can actually assign specific operations against each individual operator and manage capacity that way too. All the shop floor data collection data goes through into the logs, and on this screen here, you can actually review operations and how long it actually took compared to the planned time. So any variances where you're over here, you can actually then go into there and start to evaluate what's actually gone right or wrong with your production orders. And the key thing is when you're doing this and you're using these tracking tools in conjunction with shop floor data capture, it means it can save you hours of time on the shop floor trying to find out where your production orders have got to. So it's a really, really great feature inside Fraction ERP. So let's imagine now that we've completed production inside our factory. In order to ship and invoice this product, we need to go back to the works orders page and we need to locate the production order that we're going to ship. So I'm going to ship this top line here. I'm going to view the works order and then very simply at the top of the screen here, I can press the complete button. I do have the option to part complete the works order. For example, if I've only shipped half of the quantity, I can click on the complete all button here and press save. So this now gives you a notification it's been completed. To ship the product, I need to go to the business tab here, click on shipments, and this actually shows me a list of all the delivery notes I've raised so far. So to raise a new shipment, I simply click on this button in the top corner here, and then I'll be able to search for my order. There's frame bracket. You can see that none of the 25 have been shipped, and I can create a shipment on this page here. So again, I can part ship, even if I've completed all of them. But what I'll do is I'll ship all 25, and I will choose a courier, which comes from my original settings, and then I'm going to submit the shipments. So here is my delivery note, and what I can do then, if I want to create a certificate of conformity, I can press this button here and create one. That just generates a document within the system. And then on my invoice, I can click on raise here, and this will then create an invoice within the system. Now, if I go across to the invoices page here, on this screen, I can review all the invoices I've raised to date. I can see the corresponding shipment numbers, and then I can click back to the contract should I need to see any more details. If I need to change any information on the invoice, I can click on the pencil icon here, and I can make any alterations that I need to do to that invoice. And then once I'm ready for that to be pushed across to my finance integration, in this case Xero, I can simply press on this button here, and this will then push the information across to the finance package, where I can then manage my debtors in the usual fashion. At this point, we have completed our works order, we have shipped it, invoiced it, and now at the end of the main manufacturing process. So one of the other features I want to show you is the non-conformance processing element of the system. Now, to raise a non-conformance, one of the ways to do that is to go into the works order itself. I click on the view button here to show me the details of the works order. And then at the top of the screen here, there is a raise NCR button. So if I do this on this example, you're presented with a form that gives you a way to capture all the key information about where the NCRs come from, which operation it was, what kind of problem it is. And these drop downs are all configurable within the system. We also have the option to capture a root cause analysis, as you can see on here, the 5 causes and the ultimate root cause. And then we also have the option here to assign the remedial action to an individual within the team. And importantly, if we have the information about costs associated with the defect, then we can capture that on this screen here. Now, one of the things we can do inside the system as well, if I go to the overall NCRs page where you can see all the NCRs logged, and when you view them inside here, once it's been added to the system, You can click on the View button here, and if you scroll to the bottom, there's a corrective action log here. Any of the actions you want to undertake to get rid of this situation once and for all, you can add a task inside the system here. Now, if I go back to the list of non-conformances, then list the open corrective actions, you can actually see a work to list of tasks required in the business to resolve our quality problems once and for all. So Fraction ERP can become a very simple and easy to use system to complement your existing ISO 9001 quality management system. The last thing I want to show you in this demo is the home options. So I'll start with the dashboard. This is actually what you see when you load up Fraction for the first time, and this is a series of tiles that show you how the performance is in a number of areas within the ERP system. Hopefully this reflects what you have in your business, and if you are a fan of a daily production meeting or a daily sunrise meeting, then this can be used as a really good roll call to help you drive the performance in the right area. Each of the numbers on each of these tiles is clickable, and that'll take you down to the information behind it. So if I click this one, I'll see all the open NCRs. If I click on this one here, I'll see all the parts that are queued, ready for inspection. Hopefully you'll get a feel for what's a good number for your business. So for example, on stock alerts, you might be comfortable with a couple of these, but after it gets past about 3 or 4, you might want to see this on the screen and see what's going on. Likewise, too many open quotations might be unsatisfactory. And if you click on this, you're then brought to the data behind it, and you can make a decision whether you're happy with this list the way it is or whether you need to take some action. So that takes me nicely on to the next item in the home menu, which is tasks. This simple task management system built into Fraction ERP will allow you to capture tasks against your team so that they can manage these on their own outside of the production meeting. If you look at this task page here, we can look at all the open tasks. We can look at the ones just associated with myself. So I can click through and see any of these statuses I wish to see. Adding a new task is very simple. I click on the new task button here. I can choose a user from the ERP system, choose a category. These are all configurable within the settings, and then add the details about the action and pick a due date. This will then attach itself into the list. This is also a really great way to use the dashboard information. So if there's some actions coming out of these tiles, you can then capture the tasks and make sure people are then being assigned the right action from the right meeting. And you can see on the far right hand side here, these are the tasks in the system at that moment in time. The final thing in the home menu is the KPIs option. So in here, you can see data for invoice sales, order intake, on-time delivery, and quality. Now I'm recording this video in January, so that's why the month to date and year to date look exactly the same. But as you can imagine, during the course of the year, these numbers would change. And if I click on one of these buttons here, I can then see the data behind it. So Fraction ERP can help you bring together all your data into one place, help you manage your team by giving them exception reporting like this dashboard, and it can help you to make your manufacturing management far simpler and far more effective. Thank you for watching this video. Hopefully it's given you some better idea of how Fraction ERP can work and how it can help your business. If you like what you're seeing in this long form demo and you want to see some more information about certain parts of the system, then please get in touch for a free online demo. In this demo, we'll go into more depth about how the system works and how it can help you and your business. If you like what you see in that demo, then you can take our free 2-week trial where we'll give you your own account of Fraction ERP so you can give it to your team and put some real orders through the system and put it through its paces. This really is the best way to evaluate an ERP system. But thank you for watching, and please reach out if you have any questions.